Ball tampering has always been part of the game, so we should be careful not to get too holier than thou. But what makes the Australians' behaviour in Cape Town different from other instances, I believe, is the premeditated nature of the crime. Steve Smith and his leadership group sat down at lunch on the third day of the test and decided that the team's youngest player, Cameron Bancroft, would do the dirty work. But this goes beyond scratching a ball with a bit of sandpaper, or whatever it was Bancroft ended up shoving down the front of his trousers. It was the accumulation of a type of behavior that has left me fed up with this Australian side, who seem to believe they are above the law and can tell the rest of the world how to behave. The double standards stink. David Warner is a good example of the kind of thing I'm talking about. For as long as I can remember, Warner has sledged the opposition, with the exception of the one-day series in India last year, presumably because he didn't want to risk his IPL contract. He's generally regarded as a nasty piece of work on the field, and some of the stuff he was alleged to have said to England's players during the Ashes was way too personal. Yet the moment anyone has a go at him, he starts bleating about where the line is. I'm not for one moment defending what was said about his wife by South African wicketkeeper Quinton de Kock during the first test in Durban, which was totally uncalled for. But Warner is the last person who should be telling others how to behave. Life was certainly a lot more fun for Steve Smith and Cameron Bancroft as they enjoyed their Ashes triumph over the winter. The pair happily sat before the media to discuss the troubles of England wicketkeeper Jonny Bairstow after his headbutt greeting for Bancroft in a Perth bar at the start of the tour. On Saturday, life got a whole lot more serious for the Aussie duo as Smith came clean over the cheating plan, which was hatched at lunch on day 3 of the third test in South Africa. As for the sight of Smith and Bancroft sitting side by side at the press conference on Saturday night, looking as if their world had caved in, well, I wonder if Jonny Bairstow woke up in New Zealand and had a quiet chuckle to himself when the same two guys had a good laugh at Bairstow's expense in Brisbane last November following the headbutt story. It didn't sit right with me. I saw two cricketers mocking a fellow professional, when anyone who knows Bairstow will tell you that what he did was not malicious. Karma works in strange ways. I was also reminded of how Cricket Australia's Twitter feed implied that Jimmy Anderson had been tampering with the ball during the Ashes, with the headline "Please explain there, Jimmy." It was obvious his thumb was on the shiny side of the ball, and causing no harm. This was another example of the Aussies setting the rules and appointing themselves as arbiters of the game. Cricket has come back to bite them. Exactly who did what? Rookie opener Cameron Bancroft has been fined 75% of his match fee and handed 3 demerit points by the International Cricket Council after being charged with attempting to change the condition of the ball, contravening Law 41.3. He admitted doing so by using some sticky tape from the team's kit bag, sticking granules from the pitch to it and using it as an abrasive surface to scuff the ball in pursuit of reverse swing. Captain Steve Smith said he and the leadership group had discussed and agreed the action. He stood down for the rest of the test along with Vice-Captain David Warner, was handed a 1-match suspension by the ICC and fined 100% of his match fee. Who else was in this leadership group? Smith did not expand on that. But in the past Australia have indicated senior bowlers Mitchell Starc and Josh Hazlewood were part of their decision-making unit. Tim Paine's promotion as temporary skipper seems to absolve him. Head coach Darren Lehmann is an obvious authority figure but Smith insists he was not involved on this occasion. Does that check out? Lehmann did appear to speak to 12th man Peter Handscomb via walkie-talkie after TV images caught Bancroft red-handed. Handscomb later spoke to Bancroft, who proceeded to hide the tape down the front of his trousers. Explanations will be required. Why was no on-field sanction taken? First of all, Bancroft appeared to deceive the umpires by showing them the holder for his sunglasses instead of his ad hoc sandpaper. Secondly, his attempts to change the ball simply appeared to be unsuccessful. The umpires looked at the ball and did not take the chance to replace it. Had they done so they could have levied 5 penalty runs against Australia. Do they deserve some credit for fronting up? Not particularly. Even after their plot was uncovered by cameras they made a clear attempt to put the officials off the scent on the field. Only after their guilt was established beyond any serious doubt did Smith and Bancroft appear before the media. Others may not have faced the music quite like that, but others may not have put themselves in that position in the first place. How has Australia's recent behaviour been other than this? To sum up, they are not a popular bunch. They are regarded as the game's most inveterate, though far from only, sledgers. Despite this they have attempted to position themselves as guardians of the line, a concept they used against South Africa in this ill-tempered series. Their reaction to England's disciplinary lapses in the Ashes, notably when Bancroft and Smith gave a jovial press conference on the subject of Jonny Bairstow's headbutt greeting, saw them lobbing rocks from a sizable glass house. Have they done this before? Smith was quick to emphasize this was a regrettable first-time offense, but skepticism is natural. It could be argued previous transgressions would have been picked up in just the way this one was, but that is unlikely to prevent people poring over footage of recent series, including The Ashes. By Rory Dollar, Press Association Sport. Wherever that mythical line is that the Australians are always banging on about, one thing is for sure, they find themselves on the wrong side of it now. Smith must take lots of the blame. He finds himself in charge of a very good cricket team, but a team that are not especially popular, even back home in Australia. It's not necessarily the captain's job to be popular, but it is his job to ensure his side are playing within the spirit of the game. It will be very difficult for Smith now to carry on as captain once he returns from his one-match ban. Do a cricketing nation as proud as Australia really want to cheat in charge? I just can't see it. Some people will argue that ball tampering should be made legal, but I disagree. It would open a huge can of worms. I'd go the other way and increase the punishment. You could even go down the route advocated by my Sportsmail colleague David Lloyd and bring out a red card. That would soon stop the cheating. Every professional cricketer has taken part in a discussion about how to get the most out of the ball. But Australia have taken things too far. And the fact there is no sympathy for them tells you a lot about the way they've played cricket in the past few years. Steve Smith shockingly admitted that he and a so-called leadership group had a discussion at lunch on the third day and decided they would illegally alter the condition of the ball. Cameron Bancroft was subsequently caught on television cameras with yellow sticky tape, which was applied to the rough side of the ball in order for it to pick up more dirt and therefore aid reverse swing. In Smith's press conference, the captain said both his and the team's reputation had been brought into question following the incident. Although he said the decision did not involve Darren Lehmann or the rest of the coaching staff, he said it involved a leadership group. However, he did not name names. Sportsmail understands Smith, vice-captain David Warner and bowling trio Nathan Lyon, Josh Hazlewood and Mitchell Starc make up the rest of the senior group who were involved in the decision to manipulate the ball's condition.